Hi, I'm Laurence Parker-Brown. Welcome to the Inside Network. Welcome to this INDepth for the Inside Network, the pioneering of deep tech. Delighted to be joined by the managing partner at WNT Ventures, Maria Jose Alvarez, exploring the venture capital scene in New Zealand. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So let's explore, back in 2016, when you made that journey, what was the inspiration to move from Chile to New Zealand to explore the venture capital scene here?
Well, I started my career in 2009 when I joined biotechnology engineering in Chile, in Viña del Mar. And I was progressing through my career. Part of my research became the first spin-out of my university. So I experienced firsthand what it was to become a CEO and founder raising capital. And I identified that through that process, there was a bit of a disconnect between scientific world and the venture capital scene. I'm talking about also over a decade ago. So there wasn't many options, but also there weren't a lot of investors that understood the challenges of creating a deep tech startup. Parallel to that, I saw an ad about New Zealand and the quality of life and the thriving and nascent venture capital and biotechnology scene. And that really spoke to me and what I wanted to do. So fast forward to 2015, we had a partial exit of the company and then wind it down. And I found myself for the first time with the opportunity of choosing what I wanted to do. That desire of coming to New Zealand hadn't left. So I sold my things and I bought a one-way ticket and here I am now.
Outstanding. So let's explore, when you landed, what were the challenges, but also the opportunities? As you touched on, it's a nascent venture capital scene in New Zealand.
Yeah, I think that when I landed, I expected it to be slightly more mature than what it was. On reflection, it was just starting out as my career was in the country as well. So WNT Ventures, for example, had just started the first year of the technology incubator program, which we maintain until today. So there were maybe 2 or 3 different incubators and maybe 4 different venture capital scene funds, which were between a mix of angels and slightly more institutional investors. So the challenge was, one, establish myself as a presence in my career and reputation, which didn't translate necessarily from Chile to New Zealand because people didn't know who I was and what I had done. But secondly, the opportunity became that because it was just starting to thrive, I saw a lot of room for me to create my own path. So I started working with funds and with groups that kind of resonated with what I wanted to do as well. And fast forward to now, you can see maybe 28 different funds and a full dedicated angel group. WNT Ventures, we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary. So there's a lot of maturity and a lot of companies that have come alongside that.
So let's go back for the investor lens. 10 years ago, there's this launch of WNT Ventures. What was the goal and how have you helped accelerate the achievements?
Well, I'm very, very lucky to join a fund that already has an outstanding track record. So WNT, when it was established in 2014 by the 3 groups that established the W, the N, and the T, it was a response to the government calling for applications for a technology incubator. So what they identified is that there was need for investment and support for early stage deep technology companies. So these are companies based on science and engineering. They put a tender for it, and alongside the support from the government, they raised a small fund. They appointed Carl Jones, which is my partner, and to deploy and to continue growing WNT Ventures to what it is today. In Fund 1, we invested in 7 companies, many of which are grown and a few that have been acquired through our involvement. And on the back of that, we've raised 2 subsequent funds and are currently raising our 4th. So as of today, we have 26 portfolio companies, soon to announce a 27 investment, several successful exits, and a few companies that have returned more than 40 times our initial investment, with a few outliers with even bigger returns. I had the pleasure of joining WNT in 2021 as an investment manager. And I joined Carl Jones as a managing partner at the beginning of 2023 as we're deploying Fund 3 and continue to raise Fund 4. So I've made 11 investments since with the fund, managed the growth of a few of our Fund 2 portfolio companies. But what set us apart really is that kind of in-depth value add that we bring alongside the capital. Raising money in New Zealand is not as challenging as it used to be for a company. but it's more about understanding how to navigate that kind of 0 to 1 spin-out process. We are often the first investor in with first-time entrepreneurs and first-time founders. So as someone that has done that job before, I think that is a very different experience when you understand the financial acumen that is required versus the technical and the scientific challenges that entail getting those first 18, 24 months of funding.
So let's come back to all these outstanding investments that you've made, but let's also explore, you've referenced your partner, Carl Jones, at WNT Ventures. What do you, Maria Jose, bring to the table as partners? What are your specific skills and characteristics?
I think that we're a really and rare combination for the venture capital scene in general, but more so in New Zealand. Carl brings 15 years of experience in the financial markets, has worked in PE and venture capital and different asset classes, investing in pure financial services in New Zealand and overseas. And myself, I bring a scientific lens, a technical background, and the operational funding of having been a founder with over 12 years now of career. So I think that the combination that we have and the lens that we bring together is quite unique. I focus in growing and serving our portfolio companies and leading our new investments. And he focuses on growing the pipeline and what WNT as a fund manager needs to look like for the years to come.
You're identifying these opportunities and supporting, helping these founders to see their ideas come to fruition. How do you support them? And likewise, what role does the government have to play?
Well, for us, it's really interesting because WNT is the longest standing partner for the New Zealand government in the Technology Incubator Program, which started in 2014 and was part of the inception of WNT, has provided us an ongoing contract renewed until 2027, which provides 3 different benefits for us as WNT, 2 that get passed on to the company. So the first one is $750,000 of operational funding for the manager, so we can do all the activities that we do to grow the New Zealand ecosystem in deep tech. The second part, which benefits greatly our due diligence, is the $35,000 diligence grants, which we allocate to the companies that we want to invest further and want to pursue the idea further. We reviewed almost 300 opportunities per year, so we choose around 10, a bit more, that we can deploy that 35,000. And what we do there is identify who are the best people for 3 or 4 areas where we want to dig deeper. That usually is market validation, intellectual property, financial modeling, and understanding what are the right business models and ways that the company can actually succeed, if that is the case. If we decide to invest, then we take them to the next stage. If we don't decide to invest based on that work, that gets handed back to the company and gets written off. And the final kicker, which we received and deployed to the companies, is for every $250,000 that we invest as the fund, we receive $750,000 that can be deployed to the company as an unsecured loan, which ranks behind equity and any other instrument. So what that does is, when we're getting from 0 to 1, prioritizing founder equity, it's one of the primary keys that we have, while also ensuring that we get sufficient equity for growing and realizing the business. So what that does is that minimum check for us is $1 million, but of that, it's not $1 million that the founders are handing over in equity. So as the government and as the ecosystem has matured, that really highlights the quality of founders that are understanding the benefits of that, but also the ability for them to deploy much bigger amounts of money in the first 18 to 24 months to really move the needle on what the Series A or a seed round might entail for them.
So you touched on this amazing journey for WNT Ventures yourself. It's a space that a lot of our investors are looking at, a lot of advisors, a lot of clients, deep tech. What does the future hold, and how can WNT lead that?
I think that WNT has been pioneering in the sense of deep tech is not new. Science and engineering exist long before, and a lot of the most successful companies in the world have led with what we would call now deep technology. In the last 10 years, we've seen in New Zealand in particular a maturity in understanding what it's required to create successful founders. And I think what sets WNT apart is that we are, first of all, a fund manager, so financial background, it's kind of the backbone of what we're doing. Not just backing good science, but also understanding how to commercialize that good science and created the adequate business models for that. But also, we're only the second fund in New Zealand that has been around for that long, has raised more than 3 successful funds, has had realized exits. So in that process of recirculating and understanding how to support the founders as a fund, we're also growing and providing bigger and broader support. We operate around New Zealand and have companies around the world now, in the US, in Europe, in Australia. So what I see as the future is there's a big underpinning of what deep technology and sustainability and climate might look like. I think that it's becoming clearer as time passes. And I think that the new wave of deep tech, it's going to be climate tech, where any company that wants to make any difference in the world, I think needs to underpin that. And as the fund that has been around since before all of that existed, I think that we have a very clear and differentiated value that we can provide to our founders and to our investors.
A wonderful story, not least of all because of the impact this will go on to make in our communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Maria Jose Alvarez.
Thank you.